Nope.
Hello. And welcome to our podcast, Where the Dark Corners Are. Hello, hello. I am Vina, and I am your Dark Travels hostess. Tonight, we're continuing our London Jack the Ripper episodes with the suspects tonight.
London, baby.
That's it. London. Brutal London. Let's just say that.
London.
I mean,
1888 was not a good year.
no. Not even the wine. So, anywho, we're just going to kick this off. Part 2 and start with the suspects. And we'll end with a couple of very strange conspiracies. Just a few, not too many.
Sure.
So, Polar Bear, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, Polar Bear, let's go.
Polar Bear, let's go.
I
That's
must like
racist.
saying that name.
You
Polar
literally
Bear.
just look at my face and say it.
Every time.
No,
I
you
know.
say I was the favorite, but
Pandy.
clearly we all know who the favorite is.
Pandy, you kick us off.
Oh, that was rough. So, yeah, the guy I went with, one of the suspects, I say a lot of suspects, I'm assuming. I'm sure there was a lot.
There was a ton.
There was a ton.
A
But,
ton.
the ones we chose are the most famous suspects.
Right.
Most likely to have done it.
Well, I would not say mine was. I would say mine was more, they kind of just, a lot of conspiracies.
Well, the problem is I don't think mine did it either.
Okay. But I do think one of us, and she'll go last, has the right guy. I do think one
you
of
think
us.
so?
I think,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's him at all.
Okay.
Well, mine's a piece of shit anyway, so.
Okay.
I'm assuming the rest of yours are too. That's what I was asking before we started.
You
But
do you,
all
buddy.
do some bad stuff.
Mine's
Let's
a
hear it,
stand-up
Pandy.
guy.
You're just a stand-up guy? What a guy. So mine was George Chapman. That is not his real name. His real name is Serwin Kowalski. He was born the 14th of December in 1865 in Poland. A Polish feller. His father was a carpenter, and he actually went to school, and he was a very educated man. Well, I'm going to call him George Chapman because I really don't want to say Serwin every time. I'm not going to say that. So
Okay.
George.
Georgie.
So we're going to call him. I'll tell him when he gets to real George. He apprenticed at the age of 14 to a senior surgeon. He actually assisted the procedures with the application of blood leeches for bloodletting, and he actually enrolled in courses for practical surgery. But he didn't do it for very long. In 1986, he got married, and he actually left to go to London. And so it's officially he immigrated in 1888 in London, so which is also the same year
These brutal
these brutal murders were happening.
Okay.
But when he immigrated in London, he became a hairdresser's assistant.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why you started killing people.
Yeah.
Are we
this
talking like
this-
who's the guy who was the barber?
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney
Sweeney
Todd,
Todd,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
well, that's the thing. He's this prodigy to be a surgeon and knows these.
Throws it all away.
Yeah, and so he doesn't use his. I'm gonna just hashtag spoilers. He doesn't use anything for his doctorate knowledge or whatever he has education wise, for any future career wise. So he becomes an hairdresser's assistant, and in about 5 months, he opens his own barbershop.
How many of us do?
I don't got
I
shit.
don't know anybody who uses their college degree for what they actually went to school for.
I do.
Oh, nice.
Not me.
Good job. Good
It's
job.
50-50 here.
Good
at
for
this
you.
table.
So she's not Jack the Ripper.
It
So
was worth my money.
So like I said, before he left, he got married, and then when he actually comes to London, he actually gets married to Lucy Bedoreski in '89, and he had 2 children with her.
So 2 wives.
2 wives, and then the Polish wife comes and sees him, and we're assuming, I don't know what the reason was, but we're assuming that she got wind of it and came down and said, "We're done." So,
Which anybody would have.
right. So she moves back to Poland, the wife that was from Poland, and George and his newfound wife ended up just keep moving around, and they ended up moving to the United States in '91. And they settled in Jersey, and he also was a barbershop or his own barbershop there, but they constantly fought. In '82, he actually attacked his wife while she was pregnant, and later told her he intended to kill her and cover up the murder. And so she left and back to London.
Which was smart on her
Crazy.
part.
Yeah, so like the story about that is a customer saw him pin his wife down and literally start beating her, like trying to hit the stomach, like just cause massive pain. And if the customer wasn't there and intervene, yeah, this guy's a piece of work. But while he's doing all this, while he's married, he's also, I don't know what the women find attractive about this guy, but he cheats on his wife. All his wives, I'm about to tell. Every wife he has, he just cheats. He finds very good time in women and just treats himself.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
It's one way to put it.
Yeah. And so she moves back to London and gives birth to a daughter. Yeah, he ends up going back to London, and they actually get back together for a while before they permanently end the relationship. So they leave off in better terms. No one dies.
Okay, I was going to say, when you say permanently.
So in '93, he goes to be an assistant in a different hairdresser shop, and he meets a woman named Annie Chapman. No relation to the same Annie Chapman that died. Because it's '93, she's already dead. So
Right.
So I think this is where a lot of people construed the fact that he knew and got with a woman named Annie Chapman. So I think people, words hearsay that, oh, he knew Annie Chapman. It's like, yeah,
Greg,
after she's already dead.
twist things around.
Right.
Okay,
So-
but could it be zombie Annie Chapman?
Yeah, maybe it's like a weekend at Bernie's thing, stuffs
Right.
her and brings her back.
Okay, hangs out with her.
So, because her last name is Chapman, he takes on her surname. And so he already goes by George in the first place because no one can say Sirwin so many times. So he goes by his English name, George, already.
Or Panda in 2022.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, takes her last name and officially becomes George Chapman. In '94, he invites another woman to come live with them, and with him and Annie, who she was pregnant, and she leaves a few weeks later. She's like, nope. And
Wait, the woman or the wife?
Annie leaves.
Oh.
She's pregnant with his child, and then she leaves. And
Jesus Christ.
and then she tells him, like, hey, I'm pregnant, and tells about the baby, and he says, okay, cool, and offers no support to help raise it.
Bye. That's awful.
Yeah, this guy sucks. But he didn't kill either of them. That's good. Because the next three,
They don't make it?
they don't make it.
Hashtag
What?
spoilers?
Yeah, hashtag spoilers. They don't make it. So
Ruined it.
he meets Mary Isabella Spink while working at another barbershop. I don't know where the women come to the barbershop for. Maybe they were
Cut and a dye.
Kundai.
Excuse the pun.
Spink was an alcoholic whose husband had left her and taken her son, and so George and her start living together and leased a barbershop in the poor section of London, and it was not a good move. So they moved to a richer neighborhood, and they began offering musical shaves, in which Spink would play the piano while Chapman cut their hair, and it was booming. People liked being sung to and the song happening while they're getting their haircut, I guess.
I guess it's like watching TV.
So he starts living. He starts buying his own boat, and they're living life. And then, hey, old habits don't die. Because there's a hell of reports where Spink is brutally beaten, beaten. And a woman who lived in the same building claimed to have heard Spink often crying out in the night and have noticed abrasions of bruises on her face and marks on her throat. 97. So the only way I put this in there is because they bring it up later. In 97, George, purchased a 1 ounce dose of tartar emetic. So in tartar emetic, there's arsenic in there. So arsenic, if you have enough arsenic,
You're going to kill somebody.
you're gonna kill somebody. And I forget the ratio, but when I was looking up arsenic and stuff, it's like 4 ounces can kill like 40 people. Something weird, something really weird. But it's like a little to a lot. Like you can kill somebody really fast, but he does not kill them fast. Let me tell you. So eventually, the magical shaves or musical shaves fail, and
No.
he goes to resorting to owning a pub in Bartholomew Square, and it's there where he starts poisoning Spink. and
Like slowly but surely.
slowly but surely. So
Oh.
this, when you have enough arsenic, you start vomiting and diarrhea, and you just can't
I think
stop.
you even lose your hair and
Yeah, just it's terrible.
right.
You're bedridden. You can't do anything. You become weak, and you eventually just die. Your body just can't do it. But they assumed that they killed her because she left him a legacy of 500 pounds, so which equals to today's money $60,000.
Jesus Christ.
And she also died on Christmas Day, in 1897. But they just thought she was really sick, due to the multiple diseases that was happening. We talked last episode. They just thought she was just sick
Ill.
and died. Yeah.
Conception.
Right.
Soon after, he hired Bessie Taylor, who had been a restaurant manager, to work at his pub, and then they entered a relationship. Chapman once again became abusive, reportedly shouting at her, and at one point even threatening her with a revolver. So I don't know why these women, they don't see any red flags coming from this guy. Must have been his mustache. He had a good mustache.
Doesn't he?
He was well known for it. His nice hairstyles.
Whatever.
After she began coming down with the same symptoms Spink had shown, Chapman left London with her to avoid controversy, moving to a market town outside of London. Now, Taylor's condition remained poor, and they returned back to London to attempt to get better, and where he released the Monument Tavern, which he now had owned. And she grew worse, and then she died in 901 due to illness. So Chapman also committed to commit arson on the tavern to get the money for the tavern that he had insured. So we got 2 murders, arson attempt.
This is a
attempted
real
murder.
motherfucker is what he is.
This guy's just chilling and living life, though. I mean, he keeps picking all these women up. Remember, he's cheating on every woman that he's with, in sickness and in health. So, in August 1901, he hired Maud Marsh as a barmaid for the tavern that he failed to burn down. She becomes fathom with him. He shows off money that he kind of has, puts on a ruse, but she's in love with this guy. And she actually, this is where his downfall comes. She mails, not emails, mails letters to her mom about him, about how, we're going to get married, this and that. And she even says that they get married, and then the mom's like, okay, well, show me the marriage certificate. And she's like, well, he says he has it with his papers and stuff. So if you can't prove you're married, you can't prove that your family is one and you guys share together everything that you have. Your stuff is my stuff and this and that.
Right.
So the mom's like, you should come home. You should be around this man. This man's been around. This is not a guy.
We
you
have
should
red flags.
Yeah,
here.
mom sees red flags through letters. So the mom's like, well, I'm going to come stay with you. And the mom ends up coming down, and then she asks, where can I live and stuff. And then the daughter, Maud Marsh, we'll call him Marsh, says, well, there's supposed to be space upstairs, but he says his family's up there, staying there. He's from Poland. He doesn't have any family up there. There's nobody up there. And she's another red flag, but she finds a way to stay around her daughter. But while that's happening, she's also, Marsh is also being poisoned. So as time goes on, he's got his own his own personal doctor that comes and tries to cure the wives. And, the first doctor, he from what I could tell, he's just an idiot. He just couldn't tell that they're dying of poisoning.
Arsenic poisoning.
So he doesn't really question anything. Every time the wife was dying or doing something, he would put on a facade in the show that he's grieving.
Right,
So
he cares.
the doctor quotes, he really cared, and it's just a bad string of luck, which I guess it wasn't a terrible assumption back there, but, we said about assuming, So the mom is like, you know what? I'm going to bring my doctor down here. And so the doctor comes down, their family doctor, and he's like, well, she's got to go to the hospital, this and that. And then, George is kind of like, oh, no, that's okay. She'll get better.
Mm-hmm.
And they really push the hospital. She goes to the hospital. She gets better. She starts turning a new leaf. She's not fucking dying anymore. It's good for them. And then she comes back, and then sure as shit, she just starts dying again. And then so George is like, oh, it must be the rabbit. There's arsenic in rabbit and stuff. And, sometimes if it's not cooked right, this and that. And the doctor's like, yeah, but there's not enough to kill somebody in it. Like, he's not having any of the shit. And he's still trying.
Eating rabbit 20 times a day.
Right.
And he's always trying to stay with her. But, George's trying to be a grateful husband. So he always brings her water that kind of tastes funny. There's even a story in Charlie Chaplin's autobiography, he actually goes to the bar when he's younger. He asks just for some water because he's doing hood rat shit, and he asks for water, and he tastes the water, and he quotes that it's funny, and then you later find out that George Chapman ends up being a fucking serial killer. So that's why he brings it up his autobiography. He's like, I was that close to death because
Right.
I'm about to drink the same shit that he's
I
quoting.
drink arsenic water.
Yeah. So he starts taking care of her, quote unquote, make sure she's hydrated, and even opens up champagne that tastes funny. And the end result is, unfortunately, she dies. So she doesn't make it. But because the mom is still suspicious and the doctor's not really buying the whole thing, they ask for an autopsy. And it's kind of it's a long shot because back then they didn't know to look for poisoning or anything like that.
What does it look like?
Right. But the mom finds bottles of poisons and stuff like that just out in his little office or whatever, George's office. But, she asked him about it, like, what's this, Oh, we had a rat problem, this and that, and I mixed things up just to see what it'll do. So it's like, what the fuck? So, the mom's like, nah. And then they do the autopsy. They actually find the poisoning. They're like, that's too much for this person. We don't know how it happened. So they investigate, and they book his ass. And they take it to court, but they can't, and he actually gets rid of the evidence, or it wasn't there anymore. But he had receipts of buying. So because he bought it, he's in trouble. So they're like, well, they connected him to that, and then the arsenic's in her, and the jury took 10 minutes. 10 minutes to come out with the verdict. Guilty. 10 fucking minutes.
By law, by now, in America, they have to do a minimum of 1 hour deliberation, but 10 minutes.
Well,
That's how pretty obvious this fucking was.
Yeah.
They put their feet up the other 50.
Yeah, they're like, nah, no one bought his shit. I mean, he's terrible in court. He can't hold it together. He's a mess. So he fucks up, and he ends up getting hanged.
Good.
So death by hanging.
Good.
Hungen.
Hung did.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's George. Or Georgie boy.
So Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, well, either way. So, that's the thing. So that the only correlation is the Annie Chapman thing, and
I mean, he had a medical thing.
well, yeah, that's the thing. He
Yeah,
has a
under his
doctor. So
belt.
when they were investigating, the lead investigator saw that he has, because he was kind of already on the radar for being a foreigner, for one,
Yeah,
and
'cause they hated Jews.
right. So
Mhm.
they were already kind of picking up, but they saw his shit, and then they saw the doctorate thing, and they kind of saw the resemblance, but it was never enough to say that it was him, especially if he was gone in the States.
And his modem of operating, what is that?
His MO,
Yeah.
it was different. There was no poisoning of them.
Correct.
He
This was
never-
a slash and dash for the most part.
Yeah, it wasn't like a quick kill. It was just like,
But I mean, the
Go to sleep, go to sleep,
aggressiveness
go to
was
sleep.
there. Pinning down his pregnant wife and started punching her.
Yes.
That's fucking rough.
Yeah.
So he has the means to be a fucking animal,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but poisoning's very passive
right,
in
only that,
comparison to slitting someone's throat.
and then tearing them in half.
But it's even more menacing because you're like, you were watching that person die.
Right, he was right next to her and watch her. Watching her and taking care of her. What all three of his wives that he
Yeah.
killed. Or okay, I shouldn't say wives. They were fake marriages, so he didn't have to go through the process.
Yeah.
So he got the money from one and the good times from the other, and then he got caught with the third. So the MO was different, but I mean everything else was there except the fact that he was poisoning and he was always with somebody. So it was hard to prove that it was him. So there was no way to get him.
Well, that was a lot of time between the murders that we talked about and then the murders of his wives.
Right.
Air quotes.
Right.
All right, Polar Bear, what you got?
mine is Montag John Druitt, and he's gonna go by John because I don't like saying Montag.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
didn't want-
Montag or Montague?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
It's Montag. I'm going with that.
Which
It's definitely Montague, but
Montague?
keep going
Oh,
with
okay.
what you got. I
All
love
right.
it.
Montag.
Just call him-
I
just
love
call
it.
him Monty.
Oh, Monte.
Monty. Just call him Monty.
Nah, it's gonna be John.
All right.
Mine's not nearly as long as yours.
Sorry.
So John was born 1857, and by a weird coincidence, he died in 1888. So he actually grew up in a pretty wealthy family. He was doing good. He was going to school to be a barrister. Barrister?
Barista.
Barster.
Not making
I
coffee.
think that's an
Uh,
attorney.
I don't
yeah,
know.
attorney.
yeah, it's an attorney.
Starbucks.
It's a lawyer type
Okay.
guy.
What's a Starbucks?
Yeah.
The reason that they think that he's could be the Jack the Ripper is that he lived fairly close to Whitechapel. Like, it was walking distance, but it wasn't in Whitechapel. He lived in the nicer neighborhood. So he lived on the other side of the river, Thomas.
Or Thames.
Thames?
Yes.
Why is it TH then?
Thomas.
Thomas.
The River Thames, yeah.
All right, Thames.
You're right.
Couple miles away from Whitechapel. In school, college, as he was trying to get his lawyer degree, he played. He was actually a busy guy. He was part of the cricket club and field hockey. So that makes me think he was strong enough to commit the murders. They really had no evidence on this guy. He was, for a guy who was going to be a lawyer, he was actually fairly poor. His dad loaned him 500 pounds, which we discussed how much that was. What,
Yeah, it's like
around
$60,000.
$60,000. Yeah,
Full fuck ton of money.
to work on the degree, as he was paying that back. However, his dad, who was a doctor, passed away, and he left a pretty big inheritance. It was like over what equals out to over $1 million
In today's money.
in today's money. However, John actually didn't see very much of it at all. Most of it went to his sisters, his older brother, and his mom. His mom was declared mentally insane and placed into insane asylum, which that's where she spent the rest of her life. So because he wasn't making any money, he was trying to pay for the law degree. He was actually working as an assistant schoolmaster, so like a assistant to
like
the
a
principal.
principal?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's where he was actually drawing most of his money from. However, he got fired from that job in 1888 due to unknown circumstances. All they said it was like it wasn't good. Like that's all I
Maybe
could find.
inappropriateness with a student or something?
I guess it's possible, but I can't find anywhere where it says why he got fired. It just says he got
But then
fired.
you call the coppers on him.
Maybe. So that actually drove him down a pretty dark path, and they found him dead in 1888, just 7 weeks after the last murder.
Of Mary Kelly?
Yeah.
Because she was murdered on the 8th. Or the 9th of November?
November. They found him dead December 3rd in 88. And he was floating in Thomas River.
So
Thames.
why... the Thames.
Thames.
Just around the camera.
I've never been to London, I'm sorry.
So why did they think he was Jack?
Because as soon as he died, the killing stopped.
Okay.
And they found him dead. So, and then the mental illness ran in his family. It was so his mom got committed. His mom got committed to the insane asylum. In his family, his grandmother committed suicide. His aunt attempted suicide, and then later on, we'll find out that his sister actually committed suicide. So suicide ran in his family. Dark thoughts. It was presumed that because he didn't have any very obvious relationships, that he may have been homosexual, and that's why he ended his life. But it's not proven.
Did they even show
anything.
that he had contact with prostitutes on the other side of the Thames River?
No. So everything was like just situational evidence, and nothing could have been proven in court. And I feel like they're like, oh yeah, they were just trying to pin it on him. When they found his dead body, the public or the authorities were like, we'll just pin it on this guy, so the whole city comes down. Like, that was the only thing, was he was insane, or he was starting to go insane because they found it in his diary that he said, "I'm starting to feel like Mother, and I'm not gonna go down that path."
Which is probably why he nipped it in the bud.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why he did it. Or, conspiracies say he couldn't live with the murders that he committed, which is highly unlikely to me because Jack the Ripper seemed like the guy that was really enjoying what he was doing. So I ruled him out, but he was a big part. Like, they were really thinking that it was him, or there was a case. There was one of the detectives was building a case deliberately against him.
That's sad.
Racist.
So my guy was, believe it or not, Prince Albert Victor. Now, Prince Albert Victor was the grandson of Queen Victoria. So he was born on January 8th, 1864. And he lives to January 14th, 1862. So he's alive during the reign of Jack the Terror. Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
He was born in Frogmore, Windsor. That should sound familiar to all of those currently following the current royal drama. And he was actually the heir to the throne. He would have been king had he outlived his father, who also was a prince. And his father was actually the Prince of Wales, and he would actually go on to become Edward VII. Now, it's crazy to think that Prince Albert Victor is even in the ballpark of being a suspect. But Prince Albert... Huh?
Is it, though?
So...
This is a crazy-ass time, so...
So, they actually think... They called him Eddie. Eddie was slow. He was he had some learning disabilities. And they also think, to some degree, he probably had some hearing issues. But for the most part, he was kind of lazy. He didn't really have a whole lot of energy for things. He didn't really have a good education for a royal. And he just kind of was there to have more of a good time than fucking care about anything, really.
She's just describing me. That's all this is pointing to. She's just calling me out.
He did, however, frequent both female and male brothels, which was very discouraging and upsetting to the royal family because of the obvious bisexuality that he had, and that was not acceptable back then. And it is believed that he did, at some point in time, come into contact with syphilis, and pretty much that was...
Is that what ended it for him?
It's a contributing factor.
That's the shit that rots your brain, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It will rot your brain and cause you to become insane. And, I mean, those are legitimate symptoms of untreated syphilis. So that's what it is. They're like, he got the syph. He got the,
The syph, yeah.
the syph. He went insane, and he killed he killed these women out of revenge for getting syphilis from one of them.
Oh, I see. Motive.
This is this is not a conspiracy. This is them turning this pot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now the issue, because, and to some degree, I mean, for him being a royal, a lot of his information is missing. There are gaps in his information. They've been scrapped. They've been burned. I mean, there's not a whole lot of record of what he was kind of doing, except, of course, travel records. And they have excellent travel records of him not even being in London on September 30th when both Elizabeth and Catherine were murdered. He was reportedly in Scotland at Balmoral, which we've all heard of. If the Queen likes to go visit, the current Queen Elizabeth likes to go visit, and that's in Scotland. And he was there with the Queen and other family members, along with visiting German royalty and staff. So they're like, he couldn't have possibly been the guy. He was with us. But because he becomes very sick and he dies, and there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of hush-hush around him.
Mm-hmm.
They contributed to part of it potentially him being Jack the Ripper. Or
Right, the royal family covering it up.
correct,
maybe hiding.
exactly. But he dies at a very young age, and he does not become king. So that is Prince Albert Victor.
How come we didn't have royal prostitutes? Could have had quality ones. They didn't have to have.
Right?
Yeah, what
No,
the
he
hell?
wasn't interested in the girls.
Oh.
He was not
Oh.
interested in any noble women.
Oh, okay.
He was like, pass, pass, pass. And
I gotta
then
go.
he would
Gotta go to the deep depths of hell to find the
he'd
ones I
go
want.
down, to other places where
Anything
other
to save
things
a
were
buck.
happening.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, goodness. So I did Aaron Kosminski. So Melville McNaughton described Kosminski, I'm just going to call him Aaron, as a Polish Jewish
me?
man and a resident of Whitechapel who became insane through his many years of indulgence in solitary vices, eventually being committed to an asylum in March of 1889. He was said to have a great hatred of women, especially prostitutes, and had strong homicidal tendencies. So Aaron lived from 1865 to 1919. His father was a tailor, and his brother Isaac followed suit, pun intended. His brother Aaron arrived in London shortly after oh, good Lord, I completely missed one. So Isaac moved to London between 1871 and 1873, where he became a successful tailor. His brother arrived in London shortly after in 1882 with his sisters and their families, so 6 years before those murders. There isn't much information about Aaron's life in London other than he did not work for many years, and when he did, his occupation was a hairdresser. So maybe
Todd
linkage.
Sweeney number 2.
It was also noted that he had severe mental illness and was in and out of infirmaries and asylums during his time in London. So, according to Sir Robert Anderson, an eyewitness who is said to have had a good view of the killer after the double murder on September 30th, identified Aaron the instant he saw him but refused to provide any evidence against him because they were both Jewish. He did not want to live with Aaron being hanged because of him. After Aaron was identified by the eyewitness, he returned to his brother's house in Whitechapel, where the police kept him under constant surveillance. In a short time later, he was taken to a workhouse and then committed to an asylum where he soon died. Or did he? So, they think he's Jack the Ripper mainly because of this eyewitness testimony that he was Jewish and that he lived in the district where the murders occurred. However, I mean, he was super severely mentally ill. So he ate bread and water out of the gutters. He was always dirty and disheveled. So I don't think he's someone that would stand out per se on the street. But I also don't think he's someone that's super forgettable if you saw him. So reasons why he maybe was not Jack the Ripper is that the eyewitness testimony didn't match up. So no one really even knows who this eyewitness is. So it could be a city police constable, or it was another police constable, or it was these 3 guys, and none of the descriptions that they got actually matched Aaron. So he was 23 when the Whitechapel murders happened, and eyewitnesses stated that the killer was anywhere from 30 to 40 years old and either stout or muscular, like they were all over the place. And he actually died 30 years after he was committed to the asylum, not soon after, like alleged by McNaughton.
Oh, 30 years in the asylum? Fuck that.
I mean, I just think I don't think he has the IQ to have done this, to be as precise, and I don't think his mental illness would have allowed him to do these things, but
We've been wrong before.
Right. So before we kind of go into what science is telling us now, who Jack the Ripper is, I do want to touch base on some of the conspiracies, because I thought some of these were kind of interesting. And just very quickly, going back to my guy, and if you've seen the movie From Hell, you'll know this conspiracy.
Isn't that the name of the note?
The movie. Yes, from
Yes.
From our killings.
Right. So there were letters that we did not touch on for either episode from supposedly Jack the Ripper
Right, and I think that's
calling
why
the cops.
we didn't bring it out, because there's nothing to prove that it was him.
Yeah. Well, there's because my victim was missing a kidney. They also sent the kidney to the press, but then later on turns out it wasn't even her kidney.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
They had a lot of fun with this. They like a lot of. I'm assuming there was a lot of copycats type thing deals.
Well, not
or
only that, and one of the things
taking
we
the
have to
glory.
remember, I mean, in the East End, we're talking about a lot of alcoholism, but alcoholism poisons people's brain. It causes delirium and insanity, and I mean, badly made alcohol fucks your brain up big time. So it doesn't surprise me that there are all these other issues going on. But in the movie From Hell that starred Johnny Depp, good job,
really?
you.
No.
You never watched
I've
it?
never seen
This
it.
this
Is that the one with
was
the headless.
No, that's
no,
Sleepy
Sleepy
Hollow.
Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow. I
This-
know I've watched it.
She's going through the
Sure,
motions.
sure.
Alright,
You're really
the-
convincing.
The
Either
gears
way.
are the gears are
point
grinding.
The point is that Prince Eddie marries a prostitute, and she's going to have a baby. And she's so excited to be marrying her prince, who I don't even know if in the movie she knew he was a real prince or not. But in her mind, he was her prince. All the women that are murdered, Catherine, Mary Jane, Elizabeth, they were witnesses to the wedding.
Oh.
So they had to be gotten rid of. That was a conspiracy.
That was her girls.
And right. And so in the movie, one of the based on a conspiracy that they had to get rid of the witnesses, they had to get rid of the girl, made it all go away. Now another conspiracy theory is both Eddie and Daddy, Prince Edward, future King Edward, both frequented, as I said before, for Eddie anyways, brothels. But so did Daddy.
No.
And they had mistresses, they had, side chicks, side this, side that. And one of the things that was happening, especially for the elite, the nobles and the people with money, is those who they were having these sexual engagements and, these individuals, some of them were actually getting blackmailed and, threatening to share because these were scandalous behaviors from royalty. Okay. And so these scandals could rock the throne. You understand? And because both Daddy and Eddie were frequenting these places, to kind of shut down the potential blackmailers, they just sent out they just had some killings to be like, this could be you, shut the fuck up.
That's why they're so brutal.
Right. So, essentially, you're sending the message, the end. And, you get away with it because unfortunately, these women are unfortunate women and, they aren't considered, their lives aren't.
People.
Right.
People.
Exactly.
Just straight up people.
Right. Which
There's
is
no
sad.
souls.
Which is sad. So those were two very interesting conspiracies that I came across for this research. However, science.
No science, no
I
beer.
believe in science.
Believe it or not, one of the current authors of our time is Patricia Cornwall. Patricia is a crime novelist. I've actually never read any of her stuff, but she's invested heavily in solving Jack the Ripper.
I think I seen a thing on her. Is she the one who bought all the paintings and all this other stuff?
And she somehow
spent
got
like
her
a shit bunch of money on investigating this stuff.
clothing and evidence.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they've done is they've taken the Shaw of Catherine Eddowes that contains, and I'm going to use air quotes, forensic stains,
Nice.
and using 2020 DNA, current DNA process, they have identified the killer as Aaron Komonsky, the 23-year-old barber from Poland. But, I mean,
So
that's who they're saying did it.
I saw that. Okay, I was watching a video on it, and I don't remember the guys that were doing it. It was two guys that were doing like unsolved stuff, right? And they were talking about the book and everything, and they said it's because of a gene that is very rare. It's like 1 in like 200,000 people or something like that, right? So the gene was like 314.5 or something like that, and then later on, the guy who was doing the forensics, they said there was like it was actually the 315.5 gene or something like that, and that one's actually found in everybody. So the forensic, like there was some kind of a mistake with the thing, and I don't know, I don't know how honest they were being or how all of that works out, right? But that's what they were saying was these people were like for sure bragging that they solved it, and then new stuff comes to light and like, oh, actually we made a mistake, and that's not true. So I don't know. That's something we can look into later on and find out.
Right. Well, the article that I got this information from was published 4 days ago.
Oh, nice.
4 days ago.
Yes.
So, I don't know anything about genetics. Really. I just know mommy and daddy do the store comes down and everything, whatever. So, but like, what's to say it's not his brother?
I don't think the brother was a suspect, but that's a great point.
Well,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know. There. Part of the other thing was that
I know if
Aaron kind of fits the description provided of dark brown eyes and hair that was given. So, but I mean,
how many other dark hair, brown eyed people?
oh, I know. Just half the people at this table.
Yeah, unless Aaron had a freaking hunch on his back or something crazy distinctive feature, like.
Well, the
Good
truth
job.
is they can go back because this is how they caught the Golden State Killer. They got DNA from the nephew from a 23andMe.
They DNA'd the relatives,
right?
descendants.
And they knew it was an uncle, so they looked at the uncles, and then they followed the guy around, picked up. I think he left a cup behind.
And then tested it.
So, but I mean, if they know where Aaron's buried, it's a quick trip to the graveyard.
Yeah, but he was a street person. I wonder if they even know where he's buried.
That's
or
a
if
great
he
question.
was just like burnt like the rest of them that didn't matter and had no family.
Right. I don't know.
I like your Eddie conspiracy, the daddy one, daddy and son.
Right. They wanted to get, send a message.
Yeah.
Luca Brasi swims with the fishes.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Possible.
Yeah, I mean,
everything's possible.
Well, everything's possible, but
That's the thing with these unsolved cases.
well, because they found, what'd you call it?
Catherine Shaw?
Forensic material or staining
yeah,
or whatever.
Forensic stains.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come there's no other forensic stains on no one else?
Well, you have to remember these murders are 140 years ago. So I don't know where the evidence is.
Well, we don't know. They reported everything missing or something was wrong with the abrasions and everything else, but they never talked about a sexual.
I don't think this
thing.
was sexually.
So that's what I'm saying. Why
motivated.
would there be forensic stains on that one?
If he nicked himself stabbing her so brutally.
Oh, we're not talking. Oh, I was talking. We talking about the same thing?
Are you talking about like rape?
Yeah, you said forensic stains.
He's talking about semen.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You said forensic stains in air quotes.
Correct. That's what it is in the article.
I was gathering it was that too.
Yeah. So it's not semen?
It just says forensic stains.
Oh.
Well, but so they're both straight people. Well, what if they just want to get it on?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think
what if that's the stain?
He nicked himself stabbing her so brutally.
Okay. Well, because you did the air quotes thing.
But it's entirely possible he got his,
his jig on.
Correct, Jimmy waxed, and
Jimmy
then he was like, I got to send this message, and you're the messenger.
See, I don't know. I have a hard time with it. I don't think he's smart enough to pull off something that skilled. I don't think he's that skilled. And even when they talk about him being a hairdresser, barber, it doesn't sound like he did it very much. It sounded like he did it for a very brief time and then was out of work for many years. And in those many years, he was like on the street, and then he'd get in trouble and go to jail for random stuff. And then his brother would go get him and like watch him. So I mean, I know he just
Well,
doesn't seem smart
Yeah,
enough.
you have to remember, there's no social programs. Where are they eating? But you said he was eating out of the
Gutters.
gutters. This is what the article says. And this is not the only article that indicates that it's Aaron. So
It's interesting.
Maybe they all coincidentally just killed somebody at the same time.
What?
All are suspects.
I have no doubt, there are definite crimes that royalty has committed and they've covered for, without a doubt. I'm not suggesting anybody recent, but I am saying in the past, I think people that we put on a pedestal that have done terrible things, and they have good. When I say good, I don't mean morally. They have people that cover up the tracks really good, is what I mean to say. So that's it. That is what we have for you tonight. This is part 2, Suspects of Jack the Ripper. On to business. We have a contest. If you are interested, it's simply this. Send us an email of the very first episode you listened to that got you listening to us and was like, they're my new jam. And just send the email at wherethedarkcorners@gmail.com. And we'll put it all into a bowl, take it out, select the winner. We haven't decided on a prize, although for our anniversary, I'm probably going to get everybody who's participated in the podcast T-shirts, awesome T-shirts. So that might be it. That'll probably be it. So you got to include your address so I can send it to you, because otherwise I don't know how to send it to you.
With Panda's face on it.
With the name Polar Bear underneath it. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what. We do actually have some new podcast covers being made or in the process of being made. Polar Bear's finally going to get his. So we'll see. We'll see what the artist comes up with. But in the meantime, we have Facebook. If you are curious or interested and like to join our Facebook page.
Facebook.
No, let's say it once. Say it.
Facebook.
Facebook.
We have a Facebook page. And send us requests. And, check us out. It's pretty simple, pretty fun. We kind of keep to the dark.
Memes on there.
Memes
and podcasts and pictures.
Episodes.
It's fun.
Horror movies.
Yeah.
Horror movies.
Memes are pretty funny.
Sometimes information pertaining to the episodes.
All the articles and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just look at memes.
But well, that's how far you can read. So
I do my best. That's all that matters.
But in the meantime, if you have a place that you would someday like to see where their dark corners are and like us to do an episode or have another serial killer on the loose that you'd like us to discuss, send us a request at wherethedarkcorners@gmail.com. Corners is plural, just so you know that. Final thoughts, Pandy.
I don't know. It's cool. I mean, it's not cool. It's terrible what happened to these women, but I think that's one of the keystone moments in murder history.
Crime history.
Right,
because they started taking photos and they kind of started trying to gather evidence in a different way.
It's like the one last medieval thing before the 20th century.
Right.
Yeah.
That okay, older feel.
Final thoughts, Polar Bear.
I think this was the first serial killer that got publicized. Like newspapers really started throwing it out there. Sensationalizing it, and I think that's why it blew up so big.
And it still lasts today.
Yeah.
Right, 140.
Well, then you become
infamous.
Yeah, people like fantasize, romanticize about it. Like, wow, they just create this image of Jack the Ripper that he really wasn't. It was just a guy with a knife.
He was a fucking animal.
Was he awful? Yeah, but like, it's just a guy.
Was it just him? Like, we just want it to be one monster. It could have been 5 different dudes.
That's a great point.
That's
We
what I was
didn't even
saying.
discuss a double suspects.
The scream effect.
Right.
There's a theory that it could have been Jill the Ripper.
Right.
A woman.
Yeah, and that's why nobody even suspected her. I don't know.
Final thoughts, Samantha?
Go out, like, comment, share, leave us reviews. Let us know who you think did it.
Yeah, there you go. Is the DNA wrong? I don't know.
Forensic scene. What did you call it? I got
Forensic
it. I love it.
evidence.
Forensic
Stains.
stains. We were not on the same page. I thought we were talking about.
All right. So until next time, please remember, only the few can find the beauty in the darkness, which is why we hope to meet you where the dark corners are. Okay, so it is Monday night, and I am joined by husband Jeff.
Hello! So happy to be here today.
And we actually kind of decided to kind of give everyone a few more hours for the contest. And husband Jeff is kind enough to, he's going to pick the name. We got the
Digging
bucket ready.
in the big white bucket for the winner. Digging really deep to the bottom.
Are you circling it really good?
Circling it really good to the bottom. Here it is. I have it.
Okay, hold on. Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Noah from Seattle, Washington. Do you know what he said his first episode was?
What was his first episode?
The Lake Bodom murders.
Okay, that was with me and Polar Bear.
Sounds about right.
We won't point fingers who bailed on us on that one, but whatever.
Who?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
The Panda.
Oh. Yeah, he does that sometimes.
Yeah. All right, so Noah, congratulations.
What did he win?
Believe it or not, we actually got the T-shirts today.
Wow. Do I get one?
I don't know.
I get left out, people. That's how much she loves husband Jeff. She leaves him out.
I ordered one extra for the winner. Sorry, darling. But maybe next time, because I really liked the work that they did. So, all right. But either way, sorry. Congratulations to Noah. He did provide his address, yes?
Yep. It's on the paper.
On the email?
Well, we put it on a paper.
Okay.
That's how we drew it.
Okay. So look for it in the mail. I'll probably mail it out sometime later this week. Thank you, everybody, for entering the contest. We had a great time looking over everyone's entry. And I kind of felt like we got like a good number of entries here.
Bucket full.
It sounded like you said fucking full.
Oh, no, I said bucket full.
Okay. All right, Noah, congratulations.
Yay. Oh, we're moving up in the world. We got sound effects now.
Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, bye.